All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little 49er video as we talk about a 49er former Eagle defensive end who could make an impact on the 49ers in 2025, and it's not Bryce Huff. So we'll talk about this guy coming up next. But first, we're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. And this video is also sponsored by LearnKey's Upskill Academy, an online learning platform designed to get you job ready in 6 months or less. Whether you're interested in IT, cybersecurity, marketing, could be any number of high-demand fields, they offer over 30 certification programs to help you take that next step in your professional career. Great company. They've been in business for 37 years. They've helped over 200,000 students along the way, and they place about 100 students and 100 graduates every month in a well-paying job. So the link's in the description below. Check them out. LearnKey Upskill Academy. A fantastic company. If you're between jobs or a little underskilled and you want to get a little bit more skills, make more money, they could really help you. So check them out. And thanks to LearnKey Upskill Academy for being a proud sponsor of the Krug Show. All right, let's talk a little bit about I was going to say the newest 49er, but he's not the newest 49er. The newest 49er is Bryce Huff. And Bryce Huff is a defensive end, former Philadelphia Eagle, former New York Jet. And I think he's going to make a huge impact. But there is another former Philadelphia Eagle defensive end who I don't think you ought to sleep on, and it's Tarron Jackson. Now, the Niners have had a real good run of signing guys late in the year that they like to stash for the following season. They did it 2 years ago with Sam Aquinu. They signed him 2 Decembers ago, and then he busted out last year, and he was one of the 49ers' best defensive ends. Well, last year, at the very end of the year, the 49ers signed Tarron Jackson. And it was actually at the beginning of the 2025, it was in January of 2025. And they signed Tarron Jackson going into week 18, and he didn't play at the end. And but they've kept him on the roster. He was at minicamp. He's been involved in the OTAs, and he's going to be in training camp with a chance to make the roster, and he's a really intriguing player. So let's talk a little bit about Tarron Jackson. Tarron Jackson grew up in South Carolina, small town near Augusta, Georgia, near the South Carolina-Georgia border. New Ellen, I believe is the name of it, South Carolina. And he was not heavily recruited. And he wound up, my buddy Rick Mueller, who I scouted with the Sacramento Gold Miners in the Canadian Football League in the mid-'90s. Rick, after he left the Gold Miners, had an extensive scouting career, Jacksonville and other spots around the NFL. And he is currently Coastal Carolina's recruiting coordinator. And he recruited Tarron Jackson to Coastal Carolina. And Jackson has been one of the key players that has helped turn that entire program around, and they've really elevated the program over the last 3 or 4 years. Coastal Carolina to the NFL draft. Eagles took him in the 6th round, number 191 overall in the 2021 draft. But this was a guy who really did a nice job in college at Coastal Carolina. He was the Sun Belt Conference Defensive Player of the Year as a senior. One of the most dominant defensive ends in the country. Excellent work ethic. What I like about him is he's a great fit for the 49ers. He can really stunt and twist and play games off the, you can line him up inside and stun him outside. You can line him up outside, stun him inside. They used him in a bunch of different games at Coastal Carolina, so he's used to stunting. He's really quick off the ball. This is not a guy who's awesome against the run. He's a pass rusher. He's a pass rusher who gets off the football. And in the wide 9, it's a perfect scheme for him. He's got a really nice swim move. You want to call it an arm over, a swim. I mean, he can get through blockers inside with a really powerful swim move. First team All-American at Coastal Carolina, lines up all over the place. The Niners like to move guys around. And Tarron Jackson has moved around. He's lined up as a 4-eye, the inside shade of the offensive tackle. He's lined up as a 5 technique. He's lined up as a 7 technique. He's lined up as a 9 technique. He really likes the wide 9. Why? Because it's a very simple get up the field and play fast kind of a defense. He's got great pursuit speed. Even though he didn't run great for the stopwatch, he's got great pursuit speed. Excellent closing burst. This guy can force fumbles. As I said, grew up in South Carolina, went to Silver Bluff High School, and just a very, very productive guy. Now, very strong, 25 reps of 225. The speed is just ordinary, 4.71 in the 40, 10-inch hands, but he's got an elite motor. And he was very productive at Coastal Carolina, 18 sacks over his last 2 years at Coastal. So Philly drafted him, waived him. He was signed by Carolina in 2024. They waived him. January 2nd, the Niners signed him to their practice squad. And, he's a guy who battled injuries early on at Coastal Carolina, busted out as a redshirt junior in 2019 with 9.5 sacks. And is just very athletic and very productive, and I think ideally suited to this 4-3 wide 9. I caught up with Tarron in the Niner locker room in December, and we'll let you hear a little bit of that conversation right here. Here I am interviewing Tarron Jackson inside the Niner locker room, roughly week 17 or 18 a year ago. All right, we're here in the Niner locker room with Tarron Jackson, Niners' newest defensive end, and we were just talking a little Coastal Carolina because Rick Mueller is a good buddy of mine, and we scouted together back in Canada back in the 90s, and he's the recruiting coordinator at Coastal Carolina, and you were a product of that, man. I mean, talk a little bit about the pride you got to have, because, you guys turned that program around there.
Oh, yeah, definitely turned it around, man. That's why I'm always been very appreciative to Rick and Coach Moe. They brought me in, man, and definitely that whole class that we came in with, man, they got a great class, and, some of them guys that I came in with, we still talk to this day. So I think they did a great job. I really appreciate it, first and foremost. But, yeah, definitely got to give a shout-out to Rick.
Man, you were a star for Coastal, man, 26.5 sacks or something like that. Talk about your time there. You had a lot of success there.
Oh, yeah. I had a great time there, man. We had a great group of coaches that really I feel like helped me develop all of my coaches, because I had about 3 different D-line coaches, and I feel like I learned a lot from each one of them. And then I feel like I said, the people that we brought in, I feel like we just grew together, we worked together, and then we had that camaraderie and stuff, and it just helped boost us to another level.
How are you a better player than when you came out of college? Because you played so far with Philly and a little bit with Carolina. How would you say your game's evolved since college?
Man, I think just experience and understanding, just the knowledge of the game, whether it be pass rushing, whether it be run stopping, just being able to know where to put my hands, being able to know if I'm rushing a guy that's doing this with their hands, how should I fight him with my hands? Should I swipe him? Should I stab club if he's a guy that holds hands? So just knowing different tricks of the trade.
Is there a player or coach, Tarron, that's had an impact so far, or at least maybe either gave you some technique or taught you some things along the way so far?
Oh, yeah, definitely. In college, I would have to say Coach McGee. He was there my last year, and Coach Howe. He definitely taught me kind of how to work hard and, fly to the ball. And then in the league, definitely Jeremiah Washburn. He's definitely taught me my foundational knowledge of 4-down, defenses, and a lot of the 3-down stuff that I learned my last couple of years while I was in Philly. So.
Coach Washburn, pretty loud and pretty energetic.
Oh yeah,
high energy coach. Coach.
So
Chris, then is what do you think of Chris so far?
Man, it's a lot of similarities, man. Chris is very detailed. He's very passionate about his work.
Very passionate.
So just excited to be here and be a part of it.
I was watching yesterday at practice. And, man, I like how they're throwing you in at the end of each drill. You're getting 1 extra rep. Is that the plan here at the end of the year, trying to get a few extra reps and get it acclimated a little bit?
Yeah, just, learning the system, man, and just taking it in. For me, I'm just enjoying this opportunity and making the most of it. So we'll see where we take it from here.
2.3 point, does it matter to you? What are you used to? I know you've done everything.
Yeah. I would say it really doesn't matter. I feel like it's just the timing of once I get comfortable with it, that's all that really matters. Because I was in 3-down when I first came to Philly in the league, and then kind of transitioned my last couple years to the 2-point, and I got comfortable in it. So, once I get comfortable with the 3-point or 2-point, it really doesn't
How
matter.
about wide nine? As far as that alignment, you're a little bit further outside. How is it different than other 4-3
Man,
alignments?
I love the wide nine and the scheme here because it allows you to, really go and just play with your hair on fire. So,
Get upfield, set the edge.
set the
make
edge,
them
play
kinda-
violent. It takes a lot of the thinking in it and thinking out of it, and it helps you to, play fast. So,
What are the chances that you get up this week and get a chance to get in there? Do you
I don't know, man. We'll see how it
feeling
plays out.
pretty good about that, or you got a shot to play Sunday?
I have no idea.
No idea.
So we'll see how it play out.
Yeah. As far as technique, a lot of people don't realize that your whole position, defensive end, is all about technique.
Yeah, it's all technique.
And I mean, so as far as going back to school, and where do you learn that? I mean, you learn it as you go. It's a constant education, I would imagine.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I feel like college and NFL is a lot different. The play styles are a little different. So coming to the NFL, being able to in attack fronts, being able to get off the ball is the first thing. Kind of get offensive linemen uncomfortable, and then being able to take that next step to have a good takeoff, which is basically how much ground that you're gaining after you get off initially, and that's what really helps you get onto the offensive lineman and make them feel like, oh, he got here kind of fast, and I got to change my footwork up. And then, like I said, the hands and knowing what to use when, those type of things is kind of the knowledge that I developed.
How about playing with Bosa and Floyd, man? You get two veterans there who would be awesome for you to copy.
Yeah.
Have you had? I mean, I know it's just been early
Yeah,
on.
yeah. I mean, I just got here. So
Wouldn't it be sweet to pick up some of
most
what
definitely.
Floyd's got, what Bosa's got?
most
Both those
definitely.
guys are technicians.
Yeah, I mean, both of those guys are guys that are stamped in the league, and guys that have did a lot in this league. So to be able to be here and to learn from them two is huge.
Tarron, a lot of Niner fans want to know about the Niner players. Last one for you. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Like when you're not playing football, not prepping for football, lifting, running, staying in shape. What are things you like to do? What are your hobbies? You have hobbies?
I definitely do, man. I'm a country guy. I come from South Carolina in the deep country.
What's your hometown?
So I'm really from a small town called New Ellington, but most people don't know where that's at in South Carolina. So it's it's right on that Georgia-South Carolina line, close to Augusta, Georgia. Most people know where Augusta, Georgia is because of the Masters.
Yeah.
So I'm probably 20 minutes from there in a little small town called New Ellington. But definitely like grilling, cooking. That's kind of a big thing for me.
Hunting, fishing?
Man, definitely fishing. I went hunting a couple times whenever I can. So really, everything outside. I play the game occasionally. I'm a big 2K man type of guy. I like a lot of different stuff. I like to travel. So
Nice.
I got a little.
Where's a place that you've traveled that you enjoyed?
I feel like Cancun is the one I've enjoyed the most so far.
Yeah,
So,
that'd be nice.
yeah.
Have you been to the Bay at all? You been here?
Man, this is my first time being on the West Coast.
Yeah.
So,
Well, man,
it's
enjoy
gonna
it.
be-
Welcome to the Bay. We wish you nothing but great success, man. Thanks for taking some time with us.
Oh yeah, appreciate you.
Tarron Jackson. Thanks, man.
So there you go. You get a feel for Tarron Jackson, the man. Good dude. Very appreciative of the people at Coastal Carolina that helped him get to the NFL. Really eager to learn from Bosa. I asked him about Leonard Floyd. He had a chance to meet Leonard last year. Now he's got, some younger guys there. But, Tarron Jackson's athletic, 6'2", 260, very athletic, and he can get after the passer. He's not the greatest run defender of all time, but if you're looking for a situational rusher who can bend the edge and put some heat on the quarterback off the edge, this guy is it. The work ethic, the strength, the quickness, as I said, he's got a great arm over move, the versatility to line up all over the defensive line, the pursuit speed, the urgency. He's got a great burst. He understands how to punch that ball out. He can cause forced fumbles. And I just think he's a guy that is going to be heard from. You can see it in the workouts. This guy takes a backseat to nobody. He's 6'2", 260, and he's really athletic, and a really good edge rusher. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Tarron Jackson looks like, this summer in training camp and this preseason with the 49ers. He might be the kind of guy that can make this team as the 49ers' fifth defensive end and maybe do this year in 2025 what Sam Aquinu did last year, and that's kind of come out of nowhere and carve out a role on this 49er defensive line. So remember that name when you're looking for a guy this summer at training camp and, you hear the name Tarron Jackson. You don't forget, Krug told you about him first. Tarron Jackson, the former Coastal Carolina Chanticleer, former Philadelphia Eagle, former Carolina Panther, and current San Francisco 49er, and we wish him nothing but success. Great dude. Tarron Jackson, just a guy to watch for this summer in Santa Clara. All right, thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. Thanks to LearnKey Upskill Academies for sponsoring this video. And thanks to all of you guys for supporting the Krug Show on YouTube.